Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Dark Elves and Bretonnia. It's going to be myself with the Witch King facing off against Subutai, who's going to be rocking Ye Old Fey Enchantress with Henri La Massif, as well as a Paladin sidekick. Now, super excited to use Malekith. It's not often, playing factions like the Empire that I get to use these big raid boss monsters, considering Karl Franz as well as Boris both have like 5,000 HP. But coming in here with big old Malekith, this bad boy's rocking almost 9k HP, and he has the ability to heal himself for 12% of his total HP every time he casts Soul Stealer, so pretty nuts. He did get nerfed somewhat heavily in the recent patches. He got cost increases. I think maybe that was more so due to land battles, but yeah, he was very, very gnarly, but I still think he's not bad. The Supreme Sorceress has been the go-to for a lot of Dark Elf players because on her dragon, she pretty much has the same stat line, same HP, and is a little bit cheaper, but Malekith is just way cooler, number one, and number two, he does have Gaze of Malice, which isn't bad at clearing out like boxes of infantry, so, and I mean, rule of cool, man. I mean, come on, Malekith the Witch King, seriously. Frontline's going to be Dread Spears, expecting cavalry, and you don't need a lot of good quality infantry to beat the Bretonnian ground troopers, and the Black Guard are just super solid. These guys, you get them up in the front, as long as they can avoid the Fey Enchantress Mortis, Chalice of Potions, they can really endure poke because of their 100 armor, and they will grind down a lot of Bretonnian troops as well as cavalry, so... Couple shades in the back. I had some extra money, didn't really know what else to bring. I was like, let's get some armor-piercing missiles and call it a day. Dark Shards would be a little bit too easy for my opponent to compromise with cavalry, and these guys are more sneaky, so that was kind of the game plan. Over here for Ye Old Subutai, he's going to be coming in with Grail Knights. So yeah, we got some Grail Knights in the bushes, baby. It's going to be Grail Knights versus Dread Knights all day. I do have Dread Knights in reserve. Here, Paladins as well as Fey Enchantress. And the rest of the army is very standard Bretonnia. Men-at-Arms with Grail Relic, Peasant Archers. Usually Bretonnian players will start off with an infantry-based army like this, and then they'll just move up with cavalry for the rest of the game. And I'm honestly doing something similar. My entire reserves is basically Coldwood Knights or Peter Crossbows, and then some Blackheart Corsair infantry just to get up and give me some capture weight. More Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, of course, but very, very heavily invested into CAF. So, over in the tree line, we do have Paladins, Fey Enchantress looking like they want to press the back objective. Do a little bit of fast forwarding while we posture. I do move in with Malekith and get a Gaze of Malice on those archers, but he actually dodged it. He matrixed me a little bit, but even still did some good HP. So Subutai does call in the Blessed Field Trebs, which is a great choice. Back in the days of land battle, you would actually see Dark Elf boxes against, I suppose against like Bretonnia and things like that. Yeah, you'd see like the Halberd box with like a big dragon character like Malekith, and the Trebuchets were one of the ways to break that open here. So Malekith's just going in for a freebie. We see this Grail Relic. It's really, really, kind of vulnerable. And the Paladins and the Mass were hiding over by the trees. So Subutai didn't really have anything here to punish Malekith. So we just go in there for free and get about 150 value, which I was very happy about. Granted, Malekith is going to be getting shot. And the old Blessed Field Trebuchet is doing okay damage against my Black Guard as well as the Dread Spear. So first call in for us is going to be the dreaded Dread Knights, the Knights of the Ebon Claw. These things are absolutely awesome. I don't know if they're like the most competitive unit in the world, but they are raid bosses. When they get below and like beat up, they get like a stat increase. They have Murderous Mastery, so when the Dark Elves proc that, their stat line becomes just nuts. And I find that they crush a lot of Bretonnian cavalry, so Fey Enchantress and Paladins looking to get in here. Objective does go to us initially, and over on the backside here, we do have Dread Spears kind of chilling. Moving up the Black Guard to screen out the Grail Knights in case they try to like fit through here, but I do have my Dread Knights basically kind of playing monster linebacker with these guys. If any of you guys ever played like high school football, college, whatever, like there's like a kind of a thing where you assign a linebacker to like screen like a really, skilled player on the enemy faction. Yeah, the brain's getting a little bit confused right now, but these guys are basically the monster linebacker watching the running back here, the Grail Knights, and trying to hunt him down. I don't know who would win in a straight fight. Grail Knights might edge it out, although, I don't know. Ebon Claw does have better sustained combat stats than Grail Knights, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, quite a bit better, actually. So, yeah, the Ebon Claw might just win that. So a little bit of poke from the Fey Enchantress. Now their Gaze of Malice is going to go down. I saw them bunched up pretty heavily here, and does hit the Men-at-Arms, so not terrible. Wearing down those infantry. To be honest, I probably should have saved those Gazes of Malice just for like a little bit later in the game when they're more blobbed up and your opponent's not paying attention as much. I find in the beginning of these matches, people are usually very privy and can kind of avoid those spells or mitigate their effectiveness. But yeah, just something to think about here. So I noticed that he didn't capture his back objective. He pulled a little bit of a cark. Some people get bloodthirsty, and what I do is I move some Dark Riders over them. I was like, I don't mind if I do. I will go and see if I can grab that objective while we're just having a bit of a standoff. Like, heavy skirmishing here. Dread Spears fighting Men-at-Arms. Dread Spears, of course, have way better stats, but the Men-at-Arms, not terrible with their Grail Relic here. Actually, their melee attack is close to 30, if I'm not mistaken, 32. So yeah, he's hanging it down there. Here, we got a nice breath attack on those archers, so Malekith able to get a breath attack with the dragon on Ye Old Peasant Bowman. While the Grail Knight's looking like they want to commit to a fight. Now, I'm obviously happy with the status quo right now because I have the objective, he doesn't, so I'm just kind of waiting for him to commit and move forward. Granted, I am taking some poke from those trebuchets, so you know, you gotta take your losses somewhere. Repeater crossbow cab in position, Shades in position, Dread Knights in position as well. Collins for myself are going to be more Dark Rider repeater crossbows, while the back objective is now going to be pressed a little bit. And it looks like he responds with the Companions of Elves, bring out some heavy hitting anti-large cavalry, which could be very good against my various Coldwood Knights if they can get in combat here. So thought about going for the archers. He just retreats, runs away, and I decided to just run back into the bushes right now. I'm like, if he wants to chase me there, that's fine. We'll leave them there and pull them out. So now it looks like Bretonnia is going to be sounding the horn, and we're going to be responding to the advancing of these infantry here, of the foot squires, with the old missile attacks from the Dark Riders, and the Shades as well. So the Shades putting a lot of shade down on those bad boys. Corsair infantry moving up, not doing badly, but with the Fey Enchantress and foot squires right on their heels, they're probably going to get wrecked. But overall, a lot of advancing foot squire units are going to get melted by my hard-hitting missiles. These Dark Rider repeater crossbows hit like trucks. Looks like foot squire is going to be trying to move their way through, and they certainly will be able to force my Shades back. And also good play from Subutai here, getting his peasant bowman to start shooting. But now it looks like the horn has been sounded, Companions move in, but the Black Guard able to intercept them a little bit. They are forcing their way through, but we do get the countercharge here with the Knights of the Ebon Claw. And we do also have Black Guard mixed in with the build, and big old Malekith going to be descending with a rear charge here, going to be some brutal dragon damage, and overall those Companions had a really bad time trying to charge into the back of my spears. But that trade, I would say, went very well for us, as the dreaded Dread Knights were able to dominate them with halberd support, and it's not looking bad. Dark Elves, classic, pulling things apart, forcing overextensions, and isolating them. One of the more fun playstyles in the game, honestly. And here the foot squires do chase a little bit too deeply and too greedily, and the Dread Knights are going to clean them up very quickly. Dread Knights, of course, have huge armor piercing, and we're getting pretty close to the murderous prowess. This is when we get steroided for a minute and a half, and when things are really going to start popping off here. So more missile fire, and this is one of the big essential things for Dark Elves, is keeping the repeater crossbows and your AP missiles functional. If you can do that, you can really take your opponent to the club. On the back objective, I've been trolling back here pretty much the whole time, just parking Dark Riders, picking off the crappy units that are trying to get it, but he finally responds with some true armor, Knights Errant. So Knights Errant will be able to crush my Dark Riders, and to be honest, I was paying attention in the middle, so I didn't see this, and my Dark Riders do get wrecked there, but you know, we've been able to keep them off that point for a while, which does give us a nice kind of points buffering situation. Black Guard still fighting on both fronts, and here we do get a bit of a pit fight. So we get Malekith versus the Fey Enchantress, or two Paladins, but I do have Black Guard support, so Malekith going to be fighting with his elite Palace Guard here, which is super cool. Getting a fat Soul Stealer right there, which is going to be nailing all those units, healing Malekith up for whatever HP he lost, and you can see he's healing a lot, and we get big damage there. That was definitely a victory for us, as those Paladins are going to be sent running. Cab pushing into the backfield, but we do, of course, have our Coldwood Knights ready to respond. Grail Knights in a one-on-one would defeat Coldwood Knights, but the money difference, they're like 800 more gold than Coldwood Knights, if not. I think it's around that. So, and they uptrade super hard. Like, Coldwood Knights will do their work against Grail Knights a little bit. It's definitely not bad. And with Malekith in there, and considering we do have the Rampage effect, which is going to be going down when they get a little bit lower, those bad boys are going to be shining. So now we get the murderous prowess. The entire Dark Elf army going to be sauced for Kane here. A lot of DPS increases, stat increases across the entire board. It's a pretty fun mechanic. It's hard to really play around. You kind of just have to like, oh, cool, it's on. Let's see what we can do. So here are the Shades getting afflicted by the healing from the Fey Enchantress. Well, not healing, but the Lore of Life. And that's going to be healing the entire Bretonnian army. Coldwood Knights moving up here. More Coldwood Knights moving in to pile in. And we are just fighting a heavy pit fight versus these Cav units, because Subutai has had the middle objective for some time. Granted, we've still been denying his back objective forever, but it looks like he's finally going to be getting that with his Knights Errant here. So, yeah, he would have a couple hundred more points, probably be at like 300 points if he had been able to capture that. But here, a lot of the Bretonnian Cavalry just being picked apart by these repeater crossbows, doing absolutely brutal damage. And Malekith is such a nice hammer. He just moves in. Whether you got an anvil, right? Your Coldwood Knights with anvil, spears, and he just comes in and just gets the job done, man. Absolute raid boss of a unit, which is so fun. I love when like big centerpiece characters are good. It's always lame when like the best, the most optimal choice is like, you know, a Sorcerer Prophet on the Chaos Dwarves instead of like Draz Ho at the Ashen, you know, things like that. Malekith flying down from the old skies, and it's going to be going after Henri Lamassif, which is certainly not a bad pick for him. He does have spear support, and another big Cav engagement here is going to be lost for my Dark Elves most likely. The Coldwood Knights who get surrounded, Subutai has an excellent flank. So those Coldwood Knights going to go quietly into the night, but not before they do some respectable damage. You know, they're both tattered going in, and they're buying time for their repeater crossbows to unleash some solid AP, which is, you know, a team effort. You wouldn't think Dark Elves would be like a team effort type faction, but they kind of are. So big old Soul Stealer going down from Malekith once again. Going to be nailing the Paladin here. Also hits the Fey Enchantress. Granted, she has insane magic resist. She has 60%, so killing her with spells is really suboptimal, but you know, it is what it is. But the Knights of the Ebon Claw did survive the earlier engagements with a pretty good amount of health. As far as value accrued, they're at about 1,000, and now they're going to be doing perpetual combat here versus all these bad boys. And the Murderous Mastery is active for a couple more seconds. Dark Elves do manage to get pursued here by the Knights of the Realm, which have pretty crazy speed. I mean, Knights of the Realm have speed in the 80s, so they can definitely keep pace with you. So I didn't really have any Cavan reserves. I think they were all active on the battlefield, so we do call them Ravens Heralds. Ravens Heralds do really nice damage against these kind of heavy cav on the ground, and they can't really be interacted with too easily unless your opponent has Pegasus Knights, which would never probably be seen in this matchup in a million years. So overall here, we are able to shoot these guys to pieces. Coldwood Knights do get folded up a little bit, but the middle objective has gone back to us as Bleak Swords arrive and Dread Spears, and the Corsair Troopers, as well as our elite Halberds. The Black Guard are actually still fighting very, very well, and Malekith just dominating Henri Le Massif in combat. He's certainly out of his weight class there. And Malekith, going to let him run. Got to leave one alive, so they'll tell stories to their buddies how they got wrecked by the Witch King. And now he's going to be flying over the pillar here, going for a bigger prize than the Fey Enchantress. Back objective, we're threatening once again. So we do have some more Dark Riders moving in, and we might be able to ninja that back point here. As far as value goes, we do have a substantial value lead. And normally I would be concerned about the healing because Life Bloom is incredibly OP. Healing your entire army every time you cast a spell is nuts. But I do have healing too. So Malekith has been able to heal a lot. He's not near his healing cap, but I do have a little bit of healing on him, which it needs to be accounted for as well. Knights of the Ebon Claw still going strong. Pretty cool to see these elite cav units performing and wearing down these Grail Knight units. Grail Knights, of course, giving it right back. I would imagine my opponent's Grail Knights probably have decent performances. I think the companions with Quinels are the ones that had a relatively bad time, but these Grail Knights, they've been fighting forever. They've been fighting absolutely forever. More focus fire for the missiles, and Dark Riders being used as a bit of a screen, and that's a very common tactic for Dark Elves. When you run out of Coldwood Knights, use the old Dark Riders to move in and just absorb the shock while your repeater crossbows basically do the DPS. Have some unsummons that I need to attend to, but the back objective, we do manage to flip it here. Dark Riders move in, get sacrificed to Cain, but they do buy a little bit of time, and it looks like I am going to be able to flip this objective here. So we flip the point. Those Dark Riders get folded up, and now these dudes, they just need to run. They're going to get destroyed by those defenders, and the defenders might be able to actually cut them off. They have a good angle on them, and they have high speed as well. So still have not been able to get the middle objective back, but ninjaing the back objective for Bretonnia here is going to be pretty big. The Enchantress getting hunted by Malekith, but she's been quite elusive and is surprisingly stalwart in combat. She does lower melee attack of nearby units by 5, so when the Fey Enchantress got her mists around her, she can endure for sure. Colin's going to be Blackheart Corsairs and Dread Spears. I finally was able to recycle some of those units and get them back in business. Here, the defenders of Fleur de Lis look like they're going to be pressing in my backfield as the Witch King descends from the some of the great heights here on Borderlow Landing. It is going to be looking for his prize. The good old Ravens Herald's going to be following Malekith, looking for some heavy cav to snipe. And now there are some heavy cav in the backfield. I don't really have great answers for them. Like I said, all my Coldwood Knights are employed. Probably should have brought more, but the Shade's able to rip some big fire, and they're just being pulled apart. Basically, it's like in StarCraft when a Baneling goes after a Marine, you split them in 3 directions and shoot, right? If you had 3 of them. But the Shades do get compromised here. They get attacked by the defenders. But Shades are good fighters. They're going to be able to hold their own for a minute. And they have a little bit of support. Dark Elves, again, all about teamwork, baby. As the repeater crossbows do turn about face. Continue melting these bad boys, and those defenders of Fleur de Lis are going to be melted. Looks like some Knights of the Realm may be moving to pressure my back objective, but Dreadsphere is easily able to hold them off. And honestly, Bretonnia is looking really beat up at this point. And the thing is, I have the Witch King. I have this huge centerpiece, which can make a huge difference in every battle he's in. Malekith is just being an absolute Chad here, looking at his current state. 4,600. I mean, he's been doing great DPS in melee, and also the Soul Stealers have been super, super punishing. He's been able to just nail those bad boys down, and has been a problem. So Knights of the Realm here engaging, and my repeater crossbows being sent in now that they're out of ammo. I don't know if it was worth an unsummon, but I felt like just getting some buffering from Malekith was good. Blackheart Corsair Infantry going to be butchering through these peasant mobs, and here in the back, Bleak Swords holding back reinforcements. Objective here is going to be flipping, and we do also still have the back objective. I did detach some Bleak Swords to go take that from those men-at-arms. And Bleak Swords are actually a pretty good quality infantry unit for their price point. The only thing is they have low HP, and that's basically going to be GG, as the Witch King just seals the deal. So yeah, fun game, man. Using those big centerpiece kind of name-face characters is always a blast. And he did great, 4,700. The Blackguard did good, 16 and 14, awesome. Shades kind of got punished a little bit, but still were a threat at times. The Dread Knights at 1,800, Coldwood Knights both performing well, and Repeater Crossbows are just such a staple. So yeah, it was fun. Fey Enchantress at 2,100, and the 2 Paladin characters didn't do badly, but certainly didn't pay for themselves. Grail Knights kind of got shut down. They, the anti-large cavalry that Dark Elves have are very good against them. Companions were the thing that I think gave me the momentum. They came out at 1,400, 1,500 gold and barely paid, got 600 back and got wrecked. And that was a big changing of momentum, I think. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I'm going to be playing more Dark Elves in tournaments. We'll see you guys on the other side. And that is it for today.